Welcome. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about RC's upcoming member tour to Egypt, Untapped Treasures Off the Beaten Path. This will take place from October 23rd to November 10th. Joining us today, we have our tour leader, Dr. Melinda Hartwig. Melinda is currently the curator of Ancient Egyptian, Nubian, and Near Eastern art at the Michael C. Carlos Museum at Emory University. She has worked in Egypt since 1983 and received her PhD in Near Eastern Art and Archaeology from the Institute of Fine Art at New York University. She's curated a number of exhibitions, authored 4 books, as well as a wide array of articles. Also joining us today as we have our tour director, Hisham El-Sabai from Egyptoloid. He'll be talking more on the logistics of the tour and the itinerary. Hisham has been an employee of Egyptoloid Travel since 1996. He's the current managing director, and he's led numerous tours for esteemed organizations over the years. So Melinda, why don't you go ahead and take it away? Let me share my screen so we can get everything.
You. Thank you. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. I just want to say how honored we are to have you on this Sites Off the Beaten Path. I will be leading this tour and we'll be exploring the cultural heritage of Egypt, which is, the land of the pharaohs, but also rich history, Coptic monuments, as well as Islamic monuments. And a number of these monuments have been projects that were done by the American Research Center in Egypt. Just a little bit about me. I was past president of the Board of Governors for RC. I have led tours for many, many years. I absolutely believe in the mission of RC. I also completed a 24-episode course for the Great Courses called The Great Tour, a guided tour through ancient Egypt. So if you want any more information, just pop up the Great Tours or the Great Courses or Wondrium, which is their new streaming service. And you don't have to sign up for long. Let's just put it that way. You could just sign up for as long as you needed to see the course, and then you can cancel. Anyway, so this is in conjunction with the 75th anniversary of American Research Center in Egypt, and it's been carefully curated to include beloved and iconic sites of Egypt, such as the pyramids of Giza, the Valley of the Kings, and lesser known gems like the Wadi Hammamat and Meidum Pyramid. And of course, like I said, highlighting RC's projects in conservation and in documentation. So here we've got a map. These are the sites that we will be visiting. As you can see, we are going all the way from Cairo down to Luxor and then up to Alexandria. And I can tell you some of these sites that we're going to see are really off the beaten track and I saw some of them way back in 1983. I can tell you that they are jaw-dropping. So this is really a very, very good tour if you want to see all that Egypt can offer. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. All right, so here are some highlights. For example, Giza, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Pyramid of Khafre, and the Pyramid of Menkaure. Also the Sphinx we will visit, and then that same day we will visit the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum. Inshallah, we hope it will be open at that point. I'm guessing it most likely will, and that is a special trip in and of itself. As we move on, we will be also looking at Dashur, which is the bent pyramid and the true pyramid, the first real pyramid made in stone, also called the Red Pyramid, and that's in Dashur. And then we will be moving on to Old Cairo. This includes the Roman Byzantine fortress of the town of Babylon, in addition to the Hanging Church, the Church of Saint Sergius, and the Synagogue of Ben Ezra, which is actually the oldest synagogue in Egypt, in addition to Basatine Cemetery, which RC just recently, I'm going to say RC, I mean American Research Center in Egypt, but it's much easier to say RC, which RC just recently conserved. It is also the second oldest continuously used Jewish cemetery in the world. We will then take a visit to medieval Cairo, starting with the Fatimid Gate of Baba Zuela, another RC project, and also look at another number of medieval monuments in historic Cairo along Muez Street, and of course a visit to the largest bazaar in the Middle East, the Khana Halili, which is a special visit in and of itself. What I'm talking about right now is what we will do October 23rd through the 27th in the environs around Cairo. Next, we will go to the Eastern Desert and also the Red Sea. Now, this is a very, very special part of the trip. It includes the monastery of St. Anthony and St. Paul, Soma Bay, Mons Claudianus and Porphyrides, and the Wadi Hammamat. Well, so these sites in the Eastern Desert, the monastery of St. Anthony and St. Paul, this is from the 4th century CE, and the oldest monasteries in Egypt. And in case many of you may know, but in case you don't, monasticism started in Egypt. So it has a very, very long tradition. We will also take a look at some of RC's most significant conservation projects. You'll get a chance to enjoy the crystal clear waters of the Red Sea and the magnificent coral reefs in Soma Bay. And in the Eastern Desert, we will get to explore via 4x4 Jeeps the Roman quarry sites of Mons Claudianus and Mons Porphyrides. Let me just say that the Mons Porphyrides is where it was discovered very early in the Roman Empire, that beautiful purple stone, porphyry, which became a stone that was linked with Roman the Roman family, the Roman emperor. So it was definitely a sacred stone. And also Mons Claudianus was a Roman quarry in the Eastern Desert of Egypt. And what you're going to see there is a garrison, a quarry site, and civilian and workers' quarters. Also, we are going to see Wadi Hammamat, which is mind-blowing. So this was not only one of the main access points between Luxor to the Red Sea in antiquity, it was also the beginning of the Silk Road for people to travel through this wadi. Wadi is an ancient riverbed, usually with very large canyons or cliffs, and not enclosed, but on either side. And it is really amazing because it was a gold quarry in antiquity. But what I love is that it has some of the most interesting and rare ancient Egyptian graffiti in cursive form of the hieroglyphs called hieratic, and also goes all the way up to the 20th century. So it's quite a sight to see. As we move on, October 31st and November 2nd, we will land in Luxor. Now, Luxor is one of those places where you could spend a lifetime trying to see everything that's there. It really is a focus of pharaonic culture. It was the sacred center of the god Amun-Ra, who is the sun god, and also the god of the Theban area. In Luxor, we're going to look at the West Bank, and that is that's on the west side of the Nile, Valley of the Kings and the Queens, including the tomb of Nefertari, which was absolutely spectacularly conserved by the Getty Institute. We will also take a look at the tombs of Ramses VI and also Tutankhamun, and you'll understand why Tut's tomb was covered for such a long period of time and why people forgot that the tomb was even there. Also, the major temple of Ramses III at Medina Habu, you can see that like right in the middle there, that picture. And that was his funerary temple. And then we will also look at the great temples of Luxor, Karnak, and the Khonsu temple, which is within the Karnak precinct. This is, as I said, the land of the god Amun-Ra. So all of these temples were dedicated to him, and you will be absolutely amazed at how large the temple of Karnak is, the temple of Amun-Ra at Karnak. And in fact, it is still being worked on to this day. Khonsu temple is where American Research Center in Egypt has done a number of conservation projects and really beautifully preserved it. And then I have to say we're moving on to one of my favorite places, which is the Tomb of the Nobles. You can see that at the bottom left. This is the tomb of Mena that you're looking at, and I conserved and documented this tomb between 2008 and 2010. Or no, 2010. And I have a book out about it. It is really one of the most beautiful non-royal Theban tombs that we have in existence. I would say probably one of the best tombs in all of Egypt, one of the best painted tombs. Okay, so now we move on November 3rd through the 7th. We're going to do the Nile Valley and the Fayum. And that includes the Temple of Hathor at Dendera. The temple at Hathor was the goddess of love and music. We're going to see the temple of Seti I at Abydos, and Abydos was the sacred site of the god Osiris, the god of the underworld. We will then travel up to Sohag and see the red and the white monasteries, which date from around the 5th century CE. And this has actually been one of RC's largest conservation projects, running from 2004 to 2021. You'll also be able to visit the Minya region of the site of Tel Amarna. This was the capital city that was created by the monotheist King Akhenaten, and he built his capital in the middle of the desert where no other god had been worshipped, and this was the place that he set in, for the worship of his god, which was the sun disk, the Aten. And then we will go across to the West Bank, take a look at Tuna el Gebel. This is the site of the famous catacombs of animal mummy catacombs. As we venture into the Fayum, we will visit the Old Kingdom Pyramid of Meidum. You can see that right in the center there. Oh, sorry about that. Here, up at the top, you've got the tomb, or you've got the Temple of Hathor. Below that, you have the pyramid of Snefru, his first try at Meidum. And we will also see other pyramids as well at Dashur, done by essentially done by Snefru. And then we'll also move and take a look at some of the Middle Kingdom mud brick pyramids we'll see. And the last day of the Fayum, you are going to get to visit a spectacular UNESCO World Heritage Site of Wadi Hatan, which is called the Valley of the Whales. This is very rarely seen, and you need special permission to get there. Again, we'll take 4x4 wheel cars to get there. You can see there on the far right, this is a 50-million-year-old fossil from a whale, now extinct, and also the beautiful open air museum. Then we will visit, excuse me, the final site in the Fayum, and that's Dime al-Siba. It is the site of an RC Antiquities Endowment Fund project and one of the most fascinating Ptolemaic and Roman settlements and temple on the northern shore of Lake Karun. And that, that also is incredibly hard, I want to say hard to get to, but you do need special permission to get there. And if you ever wanted to understand how the Romans built apartments, you are going to get a really good view into these multi-story buildings. And then as we move on, excuse me, to Alexandria and Rosetta, November 8th through the 10th, the highlights are the catacombs of Kum el Sokfa, Serapeum of Alexandria, Fort Khatbeh, which you can see over on the far left, the Amasili House in Rosetta, and the Rosetta Khatbeh Fort and the Rosetta Museum. What you can see at the bottom there is Kom el Dika, which are the remains of an ancient amphitheater, bathhouse, and domestic quarters, including the House of the Birds, which was conserved by RC in 1998. And I can tell you also there is one of the earliest schools that we have set up by one of the great philosophers. So that really is that's a great thing to see. And then ancient Serapeum with a large column that was referred to as Pompey's Pillar, And the last day of the trip will be to the city of Rosetta, the famous site where the Rosetta Stone was discovered. So this pretty much we will end in Alexandria. I can tell you, having done this tour before, it is a very well thought out, laid out tour. And I just want to lob this conversation over to Hisham El-Sabai, who I have worked with, who can fill you in on some of the areas that we'll go to, also the hotels and logistics. Hisham.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Melinda, for the lovely display and presentation, for the lovely tour that the ARC is giving us the chance to present it to our members, covering most of the unbeaten path, like you said, for the normal tourists, because of the 75th anniversary for the R3 that we are all celebrating, including me, you, and our fellow members. And I would like to share with you my presentation as Melinda goes through all the content from the first day. I would like to share the content for each hotel, starting from the first thing. When we go to Cairo, we'll be having the lovely chance to stay at the Zamalek Island, as you can see, in the middle of the Nile, at the very famous old historical Marriott Omar Al Khayyam, which used to be a palace in Cairo, as you can see, that we will be staying in one of the two towers overlooking this lovely view of Cairo, covering most of the downtown action place, walking tour on your own by us, just to cover the whole story while we are in Cairo, and you will have the chance to cover it all. Moving from there, as you can see from the map, we will be having the chance to explore the first view of the water surrounding Egypt, because on this tour, you will be doing first the Red Sea, covering the east side of the water of Cairo, then going through the Nile River, then going north to Alexandria. So let's start with the first to the Red Sea, staying at the Sheraton Soma Bay, enjoying the lovely Red Sea, enjoying the monasteries, as Melinda said, ending our day, but this lovely view in our rooms, enjoying the full view of the sea, enjoying just having a quick swim over there, moving to our rooms to enjoy the terrace during the sunset. Moving from the Red Sea, as you can go from the map, we will be driving by doing Wadi Hammamat and the rest of the scene, ending in Luxor. Luxor, the famous city, staying at the lovely view of Luxor at the Hilton Resort and Spa, enjoying the West Bank while we are staying in our hotel, ending each day in Luxor by this lovely rooms, having the view of the Nile, as you can see from the window over there. And from there, you can stay enjoying the sunset at the famous Hilton Resort and Spa. Moving from the Hilton, we will be driving north to reach Obaidus, the famous House of Life Hotel, which you're gonna be stay there, which is just across from the temple. That will give us the chance to see the Obaidus temples on our own in the early mornings before the arrivals of the rest of the tourists. Moving from there north again, going to Minya, the famous Minya and the Akhenaten city, staying at Minya itself, as you can see, at the Grand Aten Hotel, overlooking the Nile River as well. For the couple of nights we're staying there. And then we will have the lovely chance to cross through the Western Desert, to go to the Fayum Oasis, to be able to see the Qasr Karun Valley of the Whales, Dim Al Sabah, as Melinda's mentioned, having the chance to stay in the oasis, staying at the Helnan Auberge Fayum, overlooking the Lake Karun. So we covered the Red Sea water, we covered the Nile River, we covered the Lake Karun, enjoying the scene from all of our rooms, starting from the Red Sea, moving to the Middle Egypt, where is Luxor, then to Minya, ending here with Fayum, and having the lovely view from our rooms to the Lake Karun, then driving all the way, going north and covering our famous city of Alexandria and exploring the last scene in the very famous historical Steinberger Cecil Hotel, overlooking the Mediterranean, where we can have the view from our rooms and our lovely historical style rooms that we are be staying at the Cecil, then driving back to Cairo to have our last night in the Intercontinental City Stars, just 10 minutes away from the airport, ending our trip with the lovely stay and just saying thank you very much to the RC. And this is our transportation vehicle style that we will be using starting from the first day, as we are having a bus trip. This trip can accommodate up to 48 people. Our maximum number for the trip is going to be by 2021. So every single member is going to have 2 seats just to be more comfortable. We're having facilities on board. We are having always snacks, fruits, bottles of water all the time. And then I would like to thank you very much with this lovely time, with the smile of King Tut that I really love. And thank you very much for this lovely chance to give us to share our work with you guys. And I'm ready for the questions, me and Melinda.
Well, thank you, Melinda and Hisham, for all of that wonderful information. Yes, so now the Q&A session is open. So if anyone has a question, please make sure you post it in the Q&A box and not the chat. So fire away. We'll give people a few minutes to type in their questions.
It seems we covered everything.
We did. Oh, and those hotels look gorgeous, Hisham.
That's really a treat. But you can still ask, yeah.
We've got 3 Q&As.
Lovely. I'll go first with my part.
Okay.
Okay. First question, fly in and fly out location. Yes, Cairo is the main hub that we're going to start and end up our trip. So if you are planning to book your international flights, it's going to be arriving to Cairo and just departing from Cairo. The coast, Roger, is already included in the proposal or in the contract that Rebecca sent and online in our website. For the meals included, yes, you will find the same thing in our contract up in the title that beside the meals included, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I can tell you that we are covering meals mostly in every single day of the trip, except like 1 or a couple of days to give you the chance to explore the city and explore the restaurant outside. Rather than that, I can see that we are covering all the meals except for 3 days.
Right.
Yes.
And I just want to
Go ahead.
I just want to jump in just the
Please.
first one, Hisham. So yes, flying in and out of Cairo. And if I can make a suggestion, I have led trips before, and I find that if you can fly in the day before, you get a chance to kind of acclimate. If you are coming from the United States, it is a very long flight. And also the day is literally turned on its head because it's anywhere from 7 to 8 hours ahead of where you are. And if you're out in California, it's even longer. So I just wanted to say that.
Perfect. Just I want to add something because Yvonne is saying that, as we said, the limit of the tour is 20. Yes, it's 20. And for the question after that regarding if there is any boat rides on the tour, there is no planned boat rides. But what we're going to offer in Luxor on November the 2nd, if we have a chance, after lunch at hotel, we're going to offer a small boat sailing felucca on the Nile for 1 hour. But it's not a cruise. We're not going to overnight in any of the boat. The driving times between the major cities, it's a couple of hours, 3 hours. That's our maximum drives, except for a couple of days that we will be crossing from Minya to Fayum, and then from Fayum to Alexandria. That's the only long days, but we're relaxed. We're having our lunch boxes together. We are around. So we're gonna take a lovely ride through the desert road, which they call it the desert road, but it's really greenery these days from both sides. For Barbara, yes, the entire trip, it's gonna be by bus. And as I told you, every single person is having 2 seats. It's a Mercedes 2022, most comfortable with facilities, and we'll be having stops on the way to explore the countryside as we are passing by. And this is a chance to explore Egypt in a different way.
Mhm.
The weather during October, we're talking about in the morning around, let's say 85 to 90 in some places. At night, it's chill a little bit. You'll need to have a light jacket because we're talking at night, especially in Upper Egypt, Minya, and Middle Egypt. We're talking between, let's say 65 to 75 in most of the nights. And in Upper Egypt, where we're talking about Luxor, it could reach like 75 to 80. What else? Here, Melinda, you can jump in. It's 11 will you visit the 11 dynasty tombs in the East Bank?
Will we?
That's the question.
Okay. If it can be fit into our itinerary, absolutely. Those tombs are quite amazing, but everything's been kind of planned out. I know somebody said that this is a wonderful trip, but likely very strenuous. Yes. But I honestly don't want this to turn into a death march. So we will definitely consider going to the tombs at Beni Hassan. I can also say, Teresa says, why in the Valley of the Kings are you not visiting the tomb of Seti and at Saqqara not going into the step pyramid? Okay, so the thing, we're visiting 2 very important tombs in the Kings Valley. Seti the First is a special ticket that costs extra. This is something I certainly can talk to Hisham about it, but of course, in Saqqara, we are going to the step pyramid of Zoshar. It's literally one of my favorite places on earth, and one of the reasons I got into Egyptology. So that is not a problem.
Perfect. Regarding the City First tomb of the question, yes, as Melinda said, it's an extra ticket and it goes between $50 to $60 per person, and this could be arranged same day on the spot. We're going to collect the money, get you the tickets, let you in while we are in the Valley of the Kings. How many different hotels we will be staying at? As we said, we are having the chance to stay in the Marriott Omar Al Khayyam. We are almost talking about, just a second. It's 1, 2, 3, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's 8 different hotels in all the cities. And you've seen the presentation. We're just covering the best and the best of the hotels with the best views. Getting from Cairo to the airport, getting from the Cairo airport to the hotel, what time did the tour start? On the 23rd. Getting from Cairo, it depends upon the time of the day you'll be arriving. If you're arriving on a decent time, not the rush hour, it's going to take you like 30 minutes. If we're talking about the rush hour, it's between 45 to 60 minutes to the hotel. And there is no tours on the 23rd. We're going to start our first thing by a meeting dinner. It's going to be at 7:30 p.m. on the 23rd of October, just as a cocktail reception for all of us to be together.
And everyone pay attention. Oh, I'm jumping in. Sorry. And pay attention, everyone, to the time that your flight arrives. For example, if you're a member of SkyTeam, your flight will arrive early, like midnight that day on the 23rd, which is why I was saying it might be for SkyTeam members a little bit better to come in the day before. Of course, if you're part of Star Alliance or you're part of One World, those are different flights, but it's definitely worth taking a look at when you fly in. Purposely, Hisham and I've worked on this before. We keep the first 3 days relatively gentle because everybody is getting used to the time change. But I guarantee you by the 4th day, you're going to be right as rain.
Regarding what Melinda was explaining for the flights, I want to add up a piece of information that would be important for everyone. If you're coming to Cairo by Egypt Air through Washington, D.C., through Newark, through JFK, all your flights is going to arrive between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. And you will not be able to check in on the 21st upon arrival, unless you're going to book a night before, which you will see in our contract. We provided the price. If you're arriving at 4 a.m., you need to book a night before. So upon arrival at the hotel around 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., you will have the chance to have your breakfast, which is already paid, and to be able to check in your room once you are at the hotel. Any opportunity to meet and talk with local people, they are all around. All local people, they will not wait for you to approach them. They will come and say hi. They will say, how's it going? Would love to see you. You're Americans. We love Americans. And I'll tell you, there is a very good bond since the very long time between all the Egyptians and the Americans. And that you will see in all the streets, because for us as Egyptians, Americans, it's the first language. Which is the English language. It's the first people we start dealing with. It's the shows, it's friends, it's all the media, it's everything. The connection is already there. So once you step in, you will feel it yourself. Go ahead.
Oh, if I can jump in here. I've been coming to Egypt since 1980, and I can tell you that and I'm speaking in broad terms here, that the Egyptians are some of the kindest, some of the most generous people that I've ever met. And I have friends that go back 30, 40 years. So it is my second home, and second home because of the people of Egypt. And that's you too, Hisham.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. So Heidi, this came up before, and I'll speak it as an American. Are there any security measures or concerns? Hisham can speak to the specifics, but I will tell you this. I led a tour for my museum from donors to the museum, so very high-end or whatever individuals. The Americans are back. It's almost like somebody got the memo, and everywhere you turn, there are American tourists going to all of these sites. I have never felt uncomfortable in Egypt, and Agitaloid is a very reputable, incredibly secure, conscious travel agency. So I would definitely not be concerned about that at all. Frankly, living in Atlanta, I'm more scared of driving on the Atlanta freeway than I am in Egypt.
Thank you, Melinda.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Melinda and Hisham, for joining us today and giving us all of that information about the tour. It sounds amazing. I know people are excited. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to email RC. I will put the email in the chat really quickly before we pop off. Or you could also email me, Rebecca. I'm the membership manager at RC, and I will also put that email in the chat. But once again, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today to learn more about this exciting tour and opportunity that's coming up in October.
There is one really good question that I think you can answer, Rebecca.
I think that's yours, Rebecca.
Yes, I will answer this. Can we bring a guest who's not a member of RC? So all of the participants do need to be an active member of RC, but we do offer family memberships or shared memberships. So that person, you can, have that person join your membership and then come on the tour.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for setting this up. And Hisham, great to see you.
Pleasure, Hania. I love you. Thank you. And it was really beautiful to see you all. And we would love to have the chance to welcome you in our beautiful country with our lovely team of the RC. Thank you. And you have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.